When my partner strikes at me, what do I want him to do? I want him to strike like this. I don't want him to strike so that he doesn't hit me. This is a training problem, okay? You need to hold your training partners to account and yourself to account. If I'm training so that he's going to react based on a poor strike, that doesn't work. That gives him a false sense of confidence. All right, what we're going to work on next is weapon interaction and understanding, okay? There's no point in training something if you don't understand why you're training it. There's only so many ways that you can interact with a weapon, and not every interaction is going to apply to every strike. If we think about what's going to happen, how our opponent's weapon approaches us, you can only pass a weapon without consequence. You can pass a weapon with consequence. You can redirect a weapon up. You can redirect a weapon down, or you can stop the weapon. That's it. There's nothing else you can do. But what you need to do is train from a position of most likely to least likely, based on both range and your unique combative experience, okay? Are you comfortable getting into a weapon and stopping it? If you're not, why are you spending the majority of your time training doing that thing, okay? When I say pass a weapon without consequence, what I mean is when he strikes at me, I'm just going to get out of the way, okay? I'm reassessing my situation. I range in, I range out, okay? I range in, I range out. That's going to be my basic set for passing a weapon without consequence. It's not a matter of achieving an advantage. It's a matter of making sure my feet are underneath me and my body position's where it needs to be. There are some positions that are going to lend themselves to immediate counterattack. There's going to be other situations that aren't, right? This isn't going to give me an immediate counterattack. Same strike, maybe it's a redirection upwards. Other times, maybe it's a redirection downwards. Even that, where he comes in, pass with consequence. Again, pass with consequence, ranging out, okay? Same thing, maybe he comes in and right? Now I'm out and I'm ready to go, right? Now, this understanding from the beginning, if you're setting the standard that you're gonna move into a weapon and have it in your face, you are fully inside your opponent's offensive and defensive zone, is that realistic for you in application? Probably not. When my opponent comes in and strikes me and I get out, I can counterattack right away. If I'm here and he strikes, I can range out, counterattack right away. I'm not staying in the same spot, and I'm not staying in the spot where he has the ability to target me right away. So I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna come here. This is my advantage because now if I'm still at medio largo, medio is typically going to, or sorry, medium and long range, I'm still at largo because I have access to his primary targets, but I can't control him. When I get to medio, now I can control him. But I have the option. If I don't want to do that and I'm in this position, I can and get out. Now I'm gone. Okay, situation averted. Now, that's a more realistic, that's going to be a more realistic expectation of yourself if you aren't big, if you're not strong, and if you haven't trained to be familiar and to be comfortable with those actions. Where when he comes in and strikes, if I come in here, I'm inside. If he grabs me, if he grapples with me, any of these things, am I going to be able to do something about it? It depends on my level of familiarity, my level of comfort, and my training. Now, training is your choice. Comfort and familiarity will happen with training, okay? If you don't train enough, you're not going to develop the familiarity and comfort. Now, with that, what I want you to think about is your training partner. When my partner strikes at me, what do I want him to do? I want him to strike like this. I don't want him to strike so that he doesn't hit me. This is a training problem, okay? You need to hold your training partners to account and yourself to account. If I'm training so that he's going to react based on a poor strike, that doesn't work. That gives him a false sense of confidence, okay? So when he's striking at me, he needs to strike to hit me. what we do is we scale our speed for safety, okay? We develop this visual sense of what he's doing. I know a forehand strike comes from my high quadrant. If I'm striking at you, it looks like this. If I'm striking from a low angle, it doesn't matter if it's this or if it's this. If I'm striking from a high backhand, this or this makes no difference, okay? We're striking to hit our partner. We scale the speed so we don't break our partner. So he strikes that one, now I'm here, right? Now this is that stop. He strikes a backhand, now I'm stop, same thing. And again, this gives me my advantages that I need to move forward into what's next, right? Again, low line attack, low, yeah. Here, now, when I come in here, is this a stop? No. What I need to do is I need to, this is where I was saying, not every reaction is reasonable for every reaction. When he throws that same strike, redirect downwards. And where does it catch him? He strikes that again, go slow, I come in here, and I come back up to the hand. With a blade that translates to a hand cut, gives me the opportunity to move in, right? So again, medio, body control affect the balance. So we've gone through pass with consequence, that's that high line out, or high line back, or high line through. Now, redirecting downwards. Here, if he strikes that high strike, not as reasonable. So should I aim for that? Probably not. He gives me the low line, more so. He gives me the backhand, not so reasonable. He gives me the low line, totally reasonable, okay? Understanding what it looks like when your opponent throws different strikes at you is going to be important. We're not going to get mixed up in the specifics of, is this a high angle one strike? Is this a high horizontal strike? Because the thing is, your reaction to it is going to be awfully similar between the two. Interchangeable. Because you don't, by the time a strike's coming at you, you don't necessarily have the ability to differentiate between the two. You need your techniques to be able to span the difference. And if you're training super specific techniques that only work against a diagonal from the high end, from the high quadrant, or a horizontal from the high quadrant, are you doing yourself a service? Understand that the techniques that you learn need to dial into actionability. And what that's going to be meted out in, you're going to understand the difference when you're training it and when you're repeating it over and over and over again with not just one training partner, varied training partners, because it'll look similar, but it won't look the same. Okay, so we have passing with consequence. We have passing without consequence, which is just getting out of the way. We have redirection downwards. Now we have redirection upwards, right? I come upwards. And again, if my training partner is flowing through to hit me, it doesn't stop there, okay? When he throws to hit me, now I've redirected upwards. He throws the backhand, right? Again, it seems like I miss, but there's times that I don't need to strike. If I throw that up and he misses me and I miss him, where am I? I'm in a great offensive position to counterattack right away. Now, if my angle is slightly different to him, he throws that, I'm going to more consistently get that, okay? And this is dialing in what's happening, right? Being able to assess what's happening versus what you think should happen. Because what you think should happen doesn't matter. Actionability of what's presented to you does matter. And like you saw in the last one where I came in, but now if I miss it, if my angle, so he throws me and I'm here, I've put myself in effectively the same position and I have a marked advantage to him. So training in a way that gives you the advantage when things don't go as planned is also incredibly important. Where if I come in here, now I'm in no position to do anything. If I bring my weapon behind my line, that doesn't give me a position. You need to train for when things go wrong, right? When things aren't as you think they should be and what that still presents to you, right? If he throws a 1 to me and I go here and it's not going down, so I read this as maybe a low line attack or something to that effect. No, same thing, right? So I come in here and it doesn't work. Do I have options? Yes, I can reinforce that and carry it through, right? So one technique leads into the next. I'm still able to carry through that low line, that redirection downwards from a position that wasn't ideal. Maybe he steps in really hard when he does it, and where I was set up for this redirection downwards, I find myself in a stopping position. I can still make the most of it. It doesn't have to be what I thought it was the first time. And now you have that first high line redirection that you saw in the video. And now I'm here. Body control, elbow control, and counterattack at the same time. So understanding why you're doing a technique that's being presented to you as a technique that you should train is going to be important, because you need to know the limitations of what you're doing as well as what your options are. Where your understanding of what you're doing needs to be broadened through repetition and training. You're going to become great at what you're doing if you train it repetitively and what you're training makes sense. If it makes sense and it works, use it. If you can train it a bunch and it only works against compliant partners, it's probably something you can put up on the wall as something that you know, but you're not going to use. And at that point, you can differentiate between what you're going to put 1,000 repetitions into and what you're going to put a dozen repetitions into.
Thanks for watching. This video today is brought to you by the Gen 2 Phenolic Collie Sticks. Get yours at BuddhaBrothers.com.
In a typical, where you have like a non-natural material, you're going to have this rubbing partly because of you don't have a solid grip to get onto.
Right.
If you're training with rattan or anything to that effect, it works because it's not going to rub the same, because you're going to have that varnish it removes where you hold it.
Yeah.
But the difference is when you have a good solid grip on the weapon, you don't have the movement inside your grip that when you have these, like, again, these cold steel ones or these other poly type materials that are going to, most of them bend, right? So your points where you're coming in and you're contacting your opponent's weapon, now your weapon's like bananaed up towards you and things aren't where they're supposed to be. You know, so the grips are going to make a huge difference in terms of your longevity in training. If you end up with blisters on the insides of your hands every time you're training with a non-natural material, you're always going to steer away from doing it because, oh, I can do 30 minutes, 40 minutes with that, and then my hand hurts so much I can't keep on going. So this is like perfect. It's a brilliant design.